All right, shooters, from the beep, you're gonna be started at a low ready. You're gonna have 4 seconds to shoot 6 shots.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The challenge that people have with this is they count it out loud, but they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's that split in there. That's the secret to a little bit faster build drill for a lot of people. All right, I have a 4-second part time. Go ahead and draw to the low ready. Everybody ready with their guns?
Mm-hmm.
Eyes, ears, stand by. Last shot was at 240. Last shot was at a 240. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Neil, Natalie, the Range Monkey, and Chris Bean.
Howdy.
We gotta come up with a nickname for, Leather Belly, because he doesn't wear a, somebody
Nice.
came up with that in the comments. Hey, welcome back. We are finishing up the 5-yard portion of the FBI qualification today. We're gonna give you some tips, some tricks. We're gonna shoot it again and then send you home with some homework.
Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of Freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today.
Nice shooting, you guys. Not bad at all. It's fun to watch this. I'm having a blast doing this because I'm not having to do any shooting, so there's no pressure on me whatsoever. Chris has ideas. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So this is the last portion of the 5-yard stage of the FBI qualification, and it's from the low ready. We beat that horse to death. Your low ready is yours, ours is ours. Leave it alone. But you have 4 seconds to shoot 6 shots, which is essentially a build drill, a shorter build drill, but you're timed. Tell us about your experience. How did that go, Nat?
Well, you know, I have struggled in the past with that little, hitch in the middle. And so I tried to kind of power through that. And I think, my time reflected that. My shots did too.
Yeah.
I think I missed one. I think that other one was from the other video.
Yeah, no, yours are all in. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you had a Charlie already from the last one.
Down at the bottom.
Oh, jeez, I didn't even see that.
I think that was my first shot
Nat,
too.
shame.
Yeah, I know.
Dishonor on your family and your cow.
Yep.
I'm embarrassed to know you now. No. So we
She's
threw
been
one.
mopping the floor with me all day, so I got no sympathy for her.
So we'll show you the target here. I didn't even look at that. I wasn't even paying attention, but yeah, she's got one in one of the cards. It happens, right?
Yep.
The beauty of this is 90% is the expert or the instructor qualification. 80% is passing for an FBI qual that carry a gun professionally. And I think that this is not a terrible hard qualification, but it's a pretty good one that there's a lot of different things that you have to work on, a lot of different things that you have to be pretty decent at to put it all together to pass this. And you are allowed a few misses and you can still pass.
Yep.
So that's not the end of the world. So, all right, Chris, how about yourself?
So for 6 rounds, I think the interesting part of this so there's time. But the interesting thing about the FBI qual in general, I think it's more about controlling your want to go.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the issues that people run into are impulse kind of issues. They're shooting faster and it creates like a timing error. So the biggest thing for me is not so much the fundamentals of shooting if you already have fundamentals.
Yep.
It's applying them without letting the timer dictate kind of what you're doing. And that's a recurrent story as we're going through this. But again, the biggest part for me is being careful in the up from ready. And if I can manage that, I've already got grip established, so it's just a matter of just staying in my timing.
Yep.
So for me too, like a build drill at 7 goes significantly faster than the time portion here.
Yeah.
So we're actually artificially driving it when we don't need to.
Right. Exactly. Now, Natalie, we were done in about 280, I think I said.
240.
240. So you had a second and a half, maybe a little bit more. do you remember which one that was?
I believe it was the first one. Because I think I could see that, you know, so I think I was prepping my trigger just a little bit too early, let it break. Yeah. Yep. But then I cleaned it all up with the rest of the shots. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much at all.
No, don't. But there's a good lesson in that for us. And we've talked about the homework in the other lessons is that if we get to that trigger too early, we are going to go a little bit low. And so,
I think in the last video talking about ready, that's something that happens. You know, I say these things not because I'm like grasping it. I've seen it, and it happens.
And so we've got a good example here for you. And if it happens to you, it happens to you, but it's something to learn from. And 4 seconds is still plenty of time to get 6 shots off. You know, more than enough time, especially if you take the draw out of it. You've got all the grip that you need before you hear the beep. Really, all you got to do is come up and see your shots and see your sights and hit your shots. And, you know, again, I will maintain that your competitive nature is that you want to be done before Chris.
I think she was.
And I think she was, And you can tell me all day that I just want to keep up with Chris because I know he'll make time. You will make time too, kid. So give yourself that break. You're a better shooter than you're giving yourself credit for today. But
we're running at half. You're half par.
And so
I'm not holding myself up to too much of a standard to keep up with you, but I'm mostly just wanting to.
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, keeping up with me isn't that much of a standard.
Well,
it's not that big a deal.
Not that big a deal, old man. But no, so you know, the one of the bigger keys that we'll see, and especially as we start spreading out the distance here, is that people don't use the time that they're given. 25 is the biggest example that we have where people are done so fast because they're giving so much time, and that's where they throw the most of their shots. And so when we don't use the time, we typically that's you know, you have all that extra time to admire your miss before that second beep, and then you're like, oh man, I had a full second, I could have made that, you know. And so there's some regret time built in there if you're shooting a little too fast for you. And we'll talk more about that as we get back a little bit further.
Built-in regret. That's
built-in regret. You just have more time to admire your misses, and you can either regret them or you can learn from them. And you know, and we've beat this one good enough. We're going to do this again, but what are you going to take to your next set of these, the next 4 seconds when we get back there to 5 yards?
I'm going to try to take up a little bit more time without going over, which is kind of hard for me, because if I am trying to slow down, then I do try to slow down.
Well, I think the way to think about that, though, is not to slow down, just require more precision visually. So before your first shot goes off, say, I require that dot to be on the A or something like that. And then kind of let it go once you've established. Because it drives me nuts when I have to slow down. Well, do you? Not necessarily. But if you plant that into your head, you will. So it's just a matter of
speed with care.
Yeah, speed with care. And so, and Natalie, this is a great point. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to everybody out here. But when we say I have to slow down, that's an artificial thing that I'm going to pull the trigger slower, all my movement. And so everything slows down. And if we say, I love speed with care, good job, kid. But if we have enough care that we see and visual patience to see the dot in the target that we want and then press the trigger like we normally would, take the same shots you would, but give the care to the aiming portion and attention there. And if we put our attention there and then do everything else the same, because slow trigger presses are slow trigger presses. And then you're going to potentially go over your 4 seconds, and now that's worse.
And when I've got a double action first, you know.
Well, that's the other end of the spectrum. You can miss slowly. Like, do not misunderstand that. So you're better off just getting the information that you need, and errors happen. Errors happen.
They do.
But I don't want to make that same error really slow.
Let's shoot her again, all right? Okay, where's your 5 yards is right? Just be on that shotgun shell. All right, get your eyes and your ears on. It's getting warm here in Kansas. 83 degrees, I'm glistening for the camera, for you, the viewer. It's all about you. Just want to look.
They like it.
I mean, I like it.
All right, shooters, draw to your low ready. Get all the grip you want. Make sure you got 6 in the gun if you need to. All right. Are you ready? Stand by.
Right on each other. I wonder if it'll even register a difference in the last split.
Doggone it. Every time she decocks, it counts that as a split. So 2:42 was our time. Yeah, it's calling the splits 10s. So
nice.
But yeah, 2:42. Nice. All right, let's go look at targets, see how we did. All right, Chris, you get to go first.
All right,
today.
On mine, this is the one I threw out of alpha. I believe that was shot 3 on the first iteration. I just saw it happening. I let the gun get a little bit out of the way. No big deal. That is still in for these targets. Everything else, you know, about where we were. When you start seeing multiple shot strings before up into this one, I was kind of, everything was down there. So I'm starting to see a little bit more movement on 6 shots. But that's okay. It's well within the acceptable scoring area, so all good.
All right.
All right, so this is my target. My plan didn't work because I got 2 more out of the A zone.
But they're in.
Okay.
Getting up to here and then pulling my trigger. So then instead of prepping my trigger as I'm coming up and pulling the trigger right here, this
was your first shot.
Yep. The first iteration. Instead of doing that, I waited till I was here, and then my recoil brought me up to
there. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
So
well,
maybe just practicing, you know, managing those follow-up shots a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit more care. Yeah, okay. All right. So let's talk some homework for this week. What do we need people to be working at when they get to the range?
I think the biggest thing with this, or a build drill or anything where you're talking a 6-shot string, a 6-shot string is going to show you if your grip is going to break down. Normally grips break down from what I've seen around shot 3.
Yep.
And things kind of start happening with the gun. It gets a little bit loose, right? So that's what I would practice in dry. I would just practice 6 trigger presses to see how much influence you're putting on the gun. And in live, just run 6 and just can I keep the gun where I want it? And if not, why not? And what can I do to influence that?
Yep.
Yeah, and what I was going to say was kind of the mental piece of that rather than the physical was I think I was really focused for those first 3 shots, and then I was like, you know, I'm doing pretty good. Yep. And you know, the mental focus falls off a little bit. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I tell folks when they're shooting a build drill, you know, first you've got to get to the point where you can get them all in. So shoot it at the pace where you can get them all in. And if that's a 7-second build drill, then make it a 7-second build drill. But then start finding places that you can speed up. Now can I do it in 5? Now can I do it in 4? Now can I do it in 3? Now can I, you know, and we see people do turbo runs all the time at Gabe White's at 7 yards, which is further, with a draw, which adds more time.
Sure.
So you can do this pretty quickly, but the grip breaks down. I typically, right after that 3rd shot, number 4 is really where you start. 3, you start seeing it wobble a little bit, and then 4, the wheels might fall off. But you got to find out where yours is. Riley Bowman in his class does this thing, he calls it build drill till you spill, which is find out how, you know, figure out what your time is, and now how much can you push, and what happens, and what can we do to mitigate that. Right. So in your firing and your range time this week, go there and shoot. I hate to use the word slow, but shoot a build drill in the amount of time that it takes to get all 6 into an A zone. And I know that we're going to use a Q target for the actual FBI qual, but get them into the A zone. And because if you're in the A zone, you know you're in the Q target, right?
Absolutely.
But how fast can you get all 6 of them into that, or how slow? And you have to have a timer for that, guys. I know it sucks and that we have to go get some stuff, but we have to have equipment if we're going to get better. You have to, I said earlier, you have to have a tape measure. If you're a carpenter, you know, you've got to have tools for your trade. And if this is your trade and something that you really want to do, and if you want to play in the contest at the end, you're going to have a timer anyway. So get it now.
It's a worthwhile investment, nonetheless.
And you're going to spend somewhere between $80 and $500, depending on which one you want to get. And the $80 ones will do the same thing. This is the $500 ones. The $500 ones maybe do it a little better. I don't know. But you get what you need to get so that you can run this and play in our contest, because we've got some cool stuff that we're going to give away. But get to the range, understand your range may give you some grief over, you know, running too fast, all of those kind of things. But there's no draw involved here. And if you have to set things up with an RSO, set things up with an RSO. Don't go getting sideways on your local range and get kicked out because you have to run our little thing. Don't make me be the reason that you're getting kicked out of your own stuff. Be kind and polite. And if they don't allow you that kind of rapid fire, then do, 3 shots, or something along those lines. Find out what you can do, and you can do the vast majority of this in dry fire.
Let's talk about that. So this one in particular, with 6 shots, if you had a time constraint at your range, with like 1 shot a second, something like that, I would just reduce the target size.
Yeah.
So I would make the actual shots more difficult with that time limit, because once you open up the actual acceptable target area, it's going to be easier anyway. So that's a workaround that you can still get good work in.
Yep.
And actually start improvement. So
yeah, so you could, so when he talks about that, we're talking about get a B8, get a 3x5 card, use the head box, use something smaller as your target, and shoot them 6 of them as quickly as you can. So if
it's 1 second,
yeah, if it's 1 second and you're shooting, 2-inch circles, and you can hit it 6 of them in a row in 6 seconds,
any problem,
you'll have no trouble hitting that Q target. Yep. So that's a great one. So find creative ways to get to your range and stay within the rules so you don't get sideways with your people and not be able to finish this challenge. So thanks for watching. We will see you next time.